All right, ladies and gentlemen, for this lesson, you are going to need a regular pen, black pen, okay? So it can be this kind of pen. You want to have it to be like, let's see if I have any. Like if it's like a click pen like this, that's fine. Please do not have blue. Please do not have color. This is going to be an all black and white media, okay? All right. So, first thing you're going to do is you're going to put your name at the top of this packet, all right? And don't forget to please put your period. So pen is kind of a unique media. It is a permanent media unless you're using a erasable pen, which we are not going to be. It says, but we're also going to be doing this with line work because a lot of this stuff is going to be lines that we're kind of creating. We're not kind of smoothing it together, kind of like, you know, let me show you another lesson where it's like color, where we blend it all together, okay? Says line work in pen art is drawing pictures using only lines. Straight lines are curved on a plain background. Instead of shading or blending, artists use different types of lines to show shapes, edge, textures, and shadows. All right. Techniques like hatching, lines crossing close together, help make things look detailed and three-dimensional. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through a couple of ways that line can actually show up in paper. So first one we're going to talk about is line quality and weight. So what you can do is you can create thickness and thinness with your pen and how much you press onto it. Some pens, okay, no matter how much you press, will always have the same solid line, okay? That's for those, like those ink ones, okay? This is a ballpoint pen. Ballpoint pens will give you a lightness and a darkness. So let's just copy this. So this one is a really light. So what I'm doing is I'm barely pressing the paper, and then you can press hard. You can see that there's definitely a difference of thickness of lines. Now let's do light squiggle, heavy. So we can definitely change the lightness and darkness or the thickness or how bold the pen looks with just how we press it. Now this is very helpful for when we're drawing because thicker lines mean more bold, more clearer, where if it gets lighter toward the background, it's kind of like fading away. So let's see if we can recreate these boxes. Don't worry if it's not perfect, it's okay. So the first box is pretty bold. Next one, a little bit lighter. And the back one is really light. So it almost feels like, I'm going to make this one a little bit darker. I'm just going to go over it. So it feels like it's fading into the background, okay? One way. Another way is the edging, the contour lines. Contour lines are the edges, the outside edges of an object or an area. So we got a pair. So you can tell that they're done differently. First one is a solid, okay? This is completely, looks like the pen was all done in one shot, all right? This one, a little bit more sketchier, where things are not quite connected, okay? But we still can tell it. The last one is the sketchiest, where it has like little lines. It almost feels like it is, it's almost like fuzzy. So, I forgot, if you don't have a pencil, grab a pencil. We're gonna draw this, all right? So I'm gonna lightly with a pencil. Now I might actually suggest that for your final project, you use a mechanical pencil. Mechanical pencils can get very light. It helps you also stay light, okay? So we're gonna lightly draw, and don't worry if it's not perfect. Your 3 pairs, okay? Don't worry if it's not perfect, it's okay. It's just gonna help us with our pen. Okay, first one, solid line. It's nice, one long line. Gives us a solid contour, okay? Next one, kind of incomplete, okay? Some people do this one, some people don't. Kind of kind of still looks connected, but it's okay. Last one. It's like little lines to draw it out. Okay, gives it a little bit different feel. So you can see how pen can change the look of when you're drawing something, okay? Surface design. Surface design talks about it's almost like you're describing. It says visually explaining the design, texture, or pattern of a surface. Not everything is flat. Now this to me, flat, like completely flat. I don't know if this is fuzzy. I don't know if there's bumps on it or anything, okay? That's why we're gonna kind of talk about this. Surface design talks about the space because I can't color it. I can't do anything with a colored pencil to kind of really, or a pencil to enhance the image. We have to do it in pen. So what we're gonna do is there's a couple of different ways. So we have here, this one's design, all right? Like if there's an image on it, so this is just a leaf. Then we have patterns, okay? Sometimes they have patterns on them. And then we have texture. So the texture is all fuzz. So grab a pencil. Can you borrow a mechanical pencil? And we're just gonna draw this very lightly. 3 times. Now why are we drawing lightly? Because when you get to your project, you will need to erase it, okay? All right, so I'm gonna start off with doing my contour line. And any way you wanna do. You wanna do the sketchy one, that's fine, that's up to you. You wanna do the solid one, up to you. I'm just gonna kind of go through and add them in. This one's gonna be a little bit lighter. There we go. All right, first one, design. Well, I kind of gonna use my pencil to kind of draw this out. There we go. All right, so go through. You can add in designs. You can fill it in. So at design, we have patterns. This is a nice simple pattern. Now if you wanted to, you could have taken this and marked out where your patterns were with pencil, which is fine, but I'm just going to kind of like jump in. You can also use a ruler if you need to. Add one right here. Okay, and the last one, little fuzzies, almost like little commas or I don't know, dashes. Kind of looks like little fuzz, you know, peach fuzz. So I do know that this does take a long time, but we live in a world where not everything is flat, okay? And it's just a solid color. Even like my table right here, it's white, but you can see it's got the wood grain into it, okay? All right. Almost there. Wow, that's really fuzzy. Beautiful, okay? Perfect. Okay, so let's review. Line can show up in different weights by just pressing them. Okay, this helps with when you're drawing. Things up close can be a little bit more bolder. As we get further, they get a little bit lighter. It can show up in contour lines, okay? So you can have solid, you can have like kind of like, you know, some are heavy, some are light. You know, like let's say I wanted to make this a little bit thicker, you know, and have some areas that are a little bit lighter, that's fine. Or sketchy. Last is talking about the surface, okay? Does it have a design on it? Does it have, you know, a pattern on it? Does it have a texture on it, okay? So these are things that we're looking to help describe what your image is and what the objects are. All right, so let's flip to the next page. All right, creating things to be three-dimensional. All right, so we've already gone over many things over the past few years how we're trying to make things look three-dimensional. This is creating 3D. The secret to a realistic art, okay? Now, I know it's not going to be completely realistic, but when we try to do things to make them look like they're 3D, that's what we're talking about. It says, imagine a light source and then add highlights and shadows, okay? So we can almost imagine that there's a light right here, okay, and it's coming down, and we have shadows on the opposite side. This helps make things look like they're three-dimensional, okay? Items up close have lots of details and further things have less. So, all right, here we have the boat. There's a lot of details. We can see a lot of things. But as we go back to these trees, I can't tell individual leaves, okay? They are just silhouettes to me because I do not have binoculars, okay? That's why you have things far in the back be almost solid, okay, where we can't really see them, and things, you know, up close and possibly in the middle ground, okay, so this is the foreground, this is the middle ground, this is the background. So foreground and middle ground may have more details than stuff all the way in the background. All right, so let's go down to a couple of ways that we're gonna create this, all right? So hatching. Hatching, we're only gonna do a couple of different ways to do pen techniques, and these are all line related. Hatching is the idea that you just have straight lines, okay? The closer the lines, the darker the value, okay? And these are individual lines. Now, when you're doing this, I want them in the circle. You have control over your media, which is your pen, and you need to slow down and make sure it looks nice. This is called having good craftsmanship, okay? So our next one, so we're gonna call this one very dark, okay? Next one is gonna be dark. So we're gonna go a little bit lighter, not so many lines, okay? If you're having a hard time to see the difference, squint a little bit, you'll be able to. Next one's gonna be medium. A lot more lines through it, okay? So what's happening is we're letting in the white paper, okay? And the last one is gonna be light. So we've got light, we have medium, we have dark, okay, and we have very dark. 4 different levels, okay? Now we're gonna do gradients. Now gradient means that, we've already kind of know this, that it goes from dark to light, you know, in one smooth go. So we're gonna go very dark to light. So we're gonna start here, and we're gonna get nice and close, and as we kind of, so this should match here, and this should match all the way through. You can go over it a couple times as long as you're going the same direction. We're going to go up here. It's going to get lighter, and it's going to get lightest, okay? See how all of a sudden it's transitioning? All of a sudden, if you're like, hey, you know what? It kind of transitions more here than it does here, then just go back in, add in another layer to go through it, okay? All right, now let's see if we can make this on a shorter side. Let's see if we can do it in a short way. Go really close and see if we can make it blend out. Oh, yep, didn't work. Look, see, too tight. We're gonna go back over it and extend. That's better. All right, so let's put this into practice. What we're gonna do is we're gonna actually copy this onto here, just so we can see how it is. Now, there is something called cross contours, okay? So we know that the outside is a contour, all these lines that we have. Now, basically what we're doing is when we add shadows, you can actually add in so it looks like it's three-dimensional. So the way that we're doing this is we're going with the pumpkin, okay? We're not going up and down like this. We're going with the curves. So I'm going to turn this over because that's what I'm kind of doing. And I'm going to create it so it looks like it's darker and it gets lighter, okay? So you're like, well, how did I do that? Well, I'm going to do an edge of light, and I can go a little bit lighter on the inside. Almost like I'm creating my own gradient in there, okay? See how that works? All right, so let's take a moment and put light, and I put a little bit. It's almost like I'm doing down, but it's like in a little bit opposite way. Instead of going along like this, I'm going that way. All right. Here we are. Remember, stay in the lines. I know, it's so hard, but we gotta work on that. Nice controlled, sorry for the guys. Let's end a period. No, I'm joking, not yet. Add that in. And if you have a few more lines than the example, it's okay. So the way we're designing this is as if the sun is coming this way. So I'm going back over a couple of times because I'm creating that gradation where it's a little bit lighter here, a little darker, and a little darker. Man, this is looking good, guys. Like professionals. And here, make this one nice and light. Oh, that's fantastic. All right, so let's go to cross-hatching. Okay, cross-hatching is similar to the one above, okay? It says if the surface is curved, make the lines be curved too, so we can actually put the lines. If they were up and down, it would make it feel like we've got the lines going up and down, but we can also make it curved as well. So cross-hatching, the idea that we have one direction, and then we have the other direction. Okay, and I'm going to go over this a couple times because this is going to be our very dark. See how that works? Excellent. Next one's going to be dark. Okay. Then we have medium. A little bit more open space. And then we have light. A lot more open space. Okay. Also, by the way, you can take your pen and just kind of lighten up. You don't have to press too hard. It will make it also, you know, a little help with the color. All right, so gradation. You know, let's try this differently. Let's try going small and then we'll go long. All right, so we're gonna go very heavy here, and as we kind of go, I'm gonna loosen it up, kind of like I've got the hatching going on. I'm gonna go the opposite way. There. I'm going to squint. Oh, you know what? Too small. I need to stretch out a little bit more, so I need to go back. Now that's a lot nicer. When I squint, I can see that it's definitely transitioning. Go ahead and do this one. Let's really try to get that all the way through. All the way to the other side. Okay, I think I might need to go back up and really try to stay within the box, okay? There we are. I'm going to go back over. There we go. Excellent. All right. Same as the one that we did above, okay? What I'm going to have you do is we're going to copy the same, you know, example right here. We're imagining that the sun is coming here, okay, up from the top. So we're going to have darker areas on the opposite, okay? So we have the sun here, so that means the dark areas are on the opposite of the object, okay? And we're going to do these as cross contour. That means when you do your X's, you want to do them in like almost like a slight curve. If you're just doing it flat, straight, that'd be fine. All right, I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to finish this, and I want you to pause the video, and then go ahead and do that as well. All right, so when you're done, make sure that you have nothing on the outside, okay? It should look like there's darker on some sides, okay? So for example, I can see that this one is not as dark. So I'm gonna go back in and add in a few extra lines, okay? To like darken it up. Remember, you can check it by squinting to really see like, okay, does it make sense? If the sun is here, okay, is it hitting in the spots that I want it to, okay? And the opposite is gonna be dark, all right? Okay, so let's go on to the last one. Last one is random. Okay, this is the scribble one. All right, this one's pretty neat. You can pick your pen up multiple times, and this one can be, you just have to be careful because it can get out of hand. So random is not constant circles, okay? That's circling. Random means it's going in different directions, all right? This is good for fuzzy material, or if you like trees, maybe it's fine. I do this with leaves. Okay. Keep going all over. Okay. Very dark. Then we have dark. We have medium. And then we have light. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. We'll do the half one and then we'll do the long one, okay? Now, when you're doing this, it is okay to kind of go like this, where I layer, I go, and I just, as almost like it's one line at a time. But then I go up and I layer it. Let me start the dark. See how all of a sudden it's really created it to be gradation. Start here. It almost looks like I'm writing script, but I have no idea if I was actually writing something. Go, and then I'm just going to add layers on top of layers. Almost like I have another gradient on top, and another one. Pretty quick, okay? All right, so random. We're gonna apply it to the last pumpkin, all right? I'm gonna pause. I want you to copy exactly the way this is. This is helping you, once again, to, identify. We have the light coming this way, so that means any area that's kind of facing the sun, all right, would be the lightest. Anything that's behind, all here, on edges, all right, would be darker. All right, take a moment. Let's do the last pumpkin. All right, now I do want to talk to you about one thing, okay? Some of these can get overwhelming and it's hard to see what you're doing. So right now, this kind of looks like a scribbly mess. What we need to do is add something called contrast, okay? That means we need a light and dark so we can define it. So some of these areas, you see how it's really dark here and then it gets light and really dark here? I need to make sure that it really stands out, okay? So I'm going to go over and make them a little bit more bolder on the edge so it really creates a difference between each section. Because when you have something that is light and medium next to it, they're so close, it's hard to define what something is, okay? So all of a sudden, look, these start popping out. Okay, see all of a sudden everything is starting to really get defined. Okay, see how that works? All of a sudden it elevated and really defined the lines. So I didn't put any lines on. All I did was I took my the random and I went over here, and it will work here too. So if let's say this looks too close, like right here, this one's too close, I can add in some more to make it have contrast. It means that there's maybe a dark with a light, a very dark next to a medium, very dark next to a light, something where it defines it. Okay. All right, so on the last page, you need to flip that around, okay? We got a few more things before you can turn this in and get this checked. All right, so up here it says defining shapes and contrast, okay? In order to keep the items in your art recognizable so we can kind of see that this is hard to really understand what's going on, you need to make sure that your shapes are not shaded the same value, meaning you have a light and maybe a medium next to each other. By keeping each area slightly different, you are creating contrast, a difference between things. So we can see that these are very close in value, meaning that there's a lot of very darks and darks in here. Where here we have a nice balance between light and dark. Now even when we have, like right in here, we have some extra like designs in here to really pop out. Okay, so this is a little bit darker than here. So that is very helpful. Now, how are we going to get this to go? All right, to work together. Let's do this redo challenge. It says the values in this project are way too close to each other. They're either all light or they're just dark. That's it. And it's too much. Way too much light. All right? And don't show a huge range. Very dark, dark, medium, light. So we're going to add some values in gradation to it to make it feel more filled in with color, and each feels a separate item. So what I think I'm going to have you do is I would like you to fill in, okay? Let's say, you know what? Let me have you add in 5. Either 5 textures, 5 designs, 5 values, all right, to fill this in. Now this, yes, is stippling the dotting. You may change this, okay? So for example, we can make this be a little bit more, subtle. We could add in more waves. So these are more details to fill it in. I want you to add more to this project. Because a lot of times what happens is someone hands this in and they're like, oh, I'm done. Well, I need more. Start describing. Start adding more details. Because right now, it's a lot of light. All right. Once you're done with that, last thing, putting it together. It says, complete the mini drawing of the mouse in the teacup. I've made it light as if you had drawn it with a pencil. Okay? Make the mouse and teacup look like it's on a wooden table. This is where you will need to draw some kind of wooden table. I'll draw it up there. Now remember, wood has a grain. I want to be able to understand that it's wooden. Add fur to the mouse. You pick how you're going to do that. Create a simple design or pattern on the cup that is describing the surface. So you might put something here. Using your choice of pen technique, make it look like there is light shining down on the mouse and the teacup from the top left corner. Pardon me. Okay, so if we can imagine here, this is where you're going to need to add in your shading. Okay, so that means you might need to put shadows over here, 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 on the side, all here. Okay, I want it to feel as if the light is shining down. All right, once you're done with this and it's all finished, or if you have any questions, you can come and ask me if it's enough. All right, I want you to get the whole packet, well, not the whole packet, at least the practice and the lesson checked, and then you're ready for the next day.